Hey everybody, it's Jack, and I wanted to talk to you guys and help you guys crack the code on the Davis Drug Guide for Nurses 16th edition. I don't know about some of you, but I had a really hard time figuring out how to maneuver this book because it felt kind of all over the place. And maybe that's just because I'm a noob, so to speak, and I only have one semester under my belt. But it really helped. Even amidst all of our professors going out of their way to help us, I had to get even some extra help in understanding how this book was organized and how helpful it actually is. Because every nurse under the sun was telling me, this book is amazing. It's the best book of your life. And I'm like, why can't I understand this book? What is going on? Why does it feel like these drugs are all over the place? What's happening around here? So I'm going to try to do a very quick, brief overview. I'm going to actually start with the back of the book. For the record, the appendices are very awesome. Okay. I would like to thank Professor Snyder, Professor Parkinson, and Professor Dickinson. And Professor Dickinson went out of her way after class specifically for like almost 2 hours to go over this book with me. And I want to say thank you. So if she ever watches this, and if any of them ever watch this, I'm grateful to all of them for all of their help in explaining everything that they have explained regarding this book. Anyways, so if you want to know about drugs that are approved in Canada, guess what? It's in the appendices. I just want you to know, it's just a side note. They also have natural herbal products. That is also in the appendices. So you can go over different herbs and you can find out what they do. You can find out how they're absorbed. You can find out the adverse reactions. You can know how it's delivered, okay? And what that means for you as a nurse and what you need to teach regarding those herbs. Herbs are a big deal. A lot of the times people don't think about herbs interacting with other medications, but a lot of them do, and it can be very dangerous. So we actually have a guide back here. Let me just show you. Here's Bilberry. And you can actually see right back here is a guide that shows you, and it's in the back of the book, okay? 1328, 1329. There's a whole bunch of it. Also, you've got pediatric intravenous medication quick reference chart. So there's quick reference charts in the back of the book. I love this stuff. Like I said, I did not understand. I know it's blurry, but again, for copyright issues, I really am not too concerned about that. You guys know what book I'm referring to you, and if this applies to you, you know where to look. I'm telling you where, just go there. You know what I'm saying? Beer's criteria is actually in this book for specific drugs. I'm shocked. I did not know that was back there. I didn't know that was back there until like 5 seconds ago. I was like, oh my gosh, look what's back here. Drugs associated with increased risks of falls in the elderly, because the elderly are definitely, they have different situations going on. Tall man letters, confused drugs. We've got that in the back of the book. You want to look at that. That's there, you guys. It's all listed there for the taking. One of the things that Professor Dickinson brought up that was absolutely awesome, do not crush list. Oh my gosh, look, there it is. What drugs should you not crush? And obviously we know sustained release drugs we should not crush, and all the different types of terminologies that are associated with that, but it's all sitting right there. It's very categorized, nice and neat and organized. So like all the stuff that you're getting in lecture, it's right there in the book. And it's organized. It's amazing. How did we miss this? How did I miss this? At least, I don't know, maybe the rest of you people were brilliant. I'm, on the other hand, I'm like, I wish I would have figured this out a lot sooner. I think things would have made a lot more sense. FDA approved drugs for generic drug names with tall letters. Actually, to be honest, that all came right before the appendices. That came before the appendices. So it's in red, but it's before the appendices. Then the appendices gets into a bunch of stuff. Recent drug approvals, combination drugs, ophthalmic drugs. Here's one that's fun. Medication administration technique. Well, y'all need to know that for Nursing 101, right? So you definitely want to take a look at that. It's summarized very simply, including, I will keep it off the screen, but where to give intramuscular injections and how. How to administer meds to children. It even goes into formulas, dimensional analysis for helping calculate dosages. That's Appendix F. Happy, happy day. Here's something we won't need till peds, hopefully. But, this, well, at least I haven't needed it yet. But pediatric dosage calculations. They've got that there. That's going to be important. How about this one? Appendix H, normal values of common laboratory tests. Holy macaroni. Everything that's disorganized in the lab values book that's all over the place, well, I got to hand it to you. We've got renal, arterial, blood gases, urine tests, chemistry, hepatic, serum tests, hematologic, and the whole 9 yards sitting right there for the taking. They may not necessarily be the same values as in your book that your teacher wants you to know, though, because what do we know about lab values? They are a little bit relative depending on who's running the show. So, but it gives you a sort of basic idea of where they're at. And if you want a nice, neat list and a jumping point, I'd start there. Controlled substances. That'd be Appendix I, okay? Scheduled drugs, Schedule 1, Schedule 2, what that means, okay? And actually what lands under them if you keep going. Dosing guidelines, that would be Appendix J. Oh, I love this one, Appendix K. This was a lifesaver for me when I found this page, because you know what? I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of the textbooks do not go into it. In fact, the YouTube videos done by Sarah from registerednursern.com went into it, and our teachers went into it much better than the book, which I was very disappointed by. And I will tell you right now, you will not be disappointed with this, okay? Because you're going to find it in Appendix K, and it's food sources for specific nutrients. Quick peek, look at that organizational skills. Potassium-rich foods, sodium-rich foods. We're talking lists here, and it's 2 pages, so you turn the page and it's there. Appendix L, insulins and insulin therapy. Tells you about rapid-acting insulin, short-acting insulin, intermediate-acting insulin, long-acting combination. And it tells you, it breaks it down by brand name, generic name, types of insulin, onset, peak, duration. Wow. I don't know about you, but I love things organized. It makes my life so much easier. How about routine pediatric and adult immunizations? That'd be Appendix N. Some good stuff there, huh? A lot of stuff in that back of the book that nobody really goes into and tells you about. Oh my gosh, lifesavers. I'm going to go into some other stuff in a minute, and I know I'm talking fast, but I'm sick of doing videos and making you watch 20-minute videos, so it's going to be like crash course where my mouth just keeps moving very quickly. Comprehensive index. Do not, under any circumstances, be afraid to use this thing. This is where you look up the drugs. And if you don't, here's where the trouble comes into. This is my best advice for you. Okay, honest to God, this is my best advice. Sometimes you look for a drug and you cannot find it. And if you're anything like me, you're like, this is a drug book. Why can I not find a drug in the drug book? It's under the classification of the drug, okay? Like, let's see if I can find an exact specific example, because I don't want to say. Angiotensin converting enzyme, ACE inhibitors. Maybe you won't find it where you're going to find the specific ones right there. It does show you, but you might not find something where it's supposed to be, but it might be found listed under the main thing, the main classification, okay? So let's get down to that. Okay, so I opened up to everybody's favorite, digoxin, the one word that I can never say. All right, it's also known as lanoxin, and in Canada, taloxin. You get I love this. You actually get the Canadian drugs as well, which, like I said, I think that's really kind of cool. I think it's neat to be able to know, to be a little bit more international and to embrace everybody's science and to collaborate. So for me, that one. So classification, it's therapeutic classification and it's pharmacologic classifications. Got to know what those are. That's important. Okay, that's there. It's indications. Okay, it tells you what it's there for. It's action, what it does. It's pharmacokinetics, how it's absorbed, how it's distributed, how it's metabolized and excreted, and its half-life. That's a really big deal. How long is this drug going to be stuck in somebody's system? Okay. It's contraindications and precautions. Who should take it? Who should not take it? Okay. Who should really, really, really not take it? Adverse reactions and side effects. Things to look out for. If it's in red, really look out for it. Okay. Interactions. A lot of the times it's going to go into drugs that it interacts with in a negative fashion. Okay. Drugs and natural products. For this one, interestingly enough, licorice and aloe. Who knew? Same with St. John's wort. You got to really be careful with St. John's wort, by the way. I know it's a side detour, but I've seen a lot of stuff that St. John's wort interacts with if you are taking other medications. So be very careful. Make sure you check with your doctor. Route and dosage. How much are you going to give? And how are you going to give it? Not just for adults, but also for children. It is listed here. So if you're giving it by mouth to a geriatric patient, it's going to tell you how much. To a child, by mouth, how much. To a child for specific years, how much, if it's by mouth. If it's IV or intramuscular, how much. Okay, all that's there. It's availability. What's it available as? Does it come in tablet form? Does it only come as in an injection? What is it available as? That's there. Nursing implications for that drug. Okay. That is going to tell you what you need to do. For digoxin, what do we know we need to do? Monitor the apical pulse, right? For 1 full minute before administering. We need to withhold the dose, right? If the pulse is less than 60, right? Or if it's less than 70 in a kid, or less than 90 in an infant. Yeah. And you need to notify your healthcare provider if there's any problems with the pulse, any whatsoever. Rate, rhythm, quality of the pulse. Okay. You guys know what I'm talking about. Labs that you need to be considerate about running and reviewing before administering and after administering, because those can be 2 different things depending on what you're doing. Okay. Toxicity and overdose is discussed. So potential nursing diagnoses are also discussed in this book. Again, an implementation, what to not confuse the drug with is mentioned, how to implement the drug safely. Also, patient and family teaching. What do you need to teach your patient after you've given them this drug and before, oh my God, before you give them this drug? Dear Lord, make sure your patient knows what on earth is going on before you give them this drug. It's not consent otherwise. Unless, yeah, okay, let's leave it at that. So you've got different things like corticosteroids, or I can never say that right. I don't know if you say it, corticosteroids or corticosteroids. I guess it depends on how you want to say it, but they have a bunch of different things. Or cephalosporins. Oh, I love this one. There's a lot of different drugs under cephalosporins. So you might try to look up, say, where's Keflex? Where is it? Keflex? Keflexin. I think that's a third spore, but I'm not sure. Check. Third generation. Nope, it's one of them though. I can't find it right now. Or it might be, but I'm missing. Well, there's different generations. Cephalosporins, 1st generation, 2nd generation, 3rd generation cephalosporins. You might be looking for a specific drug. Say you're looking for Spectracef. Well, first of all, Spectracef is its trade name. It's not its generic name. It might not show up in the back of the book. You need to know the generic name. If you can't find it, ask Dr. Google. Okay? I hate to say it. I'm probably going to get told off by every professor under the sun, but I swear if you really need something as basic as that, it'll pull up the .gov websites, okay, and it'll show you what the generic name is. The generic name would be Cefdinir. Okay, maybe you try to find Cefdinir in the back of the book, the Davis Drug Guide, and you still can't find it. Well, then you need to know what it is. It's a cephalosporin 3rd generation. Once you know that, you can look up cephalosporins and find out where on earth it is in this book. Okay, cephalosporin 3rd generation, by the way, is page 307, in case you're wondering. And then you can, from there, look up what you need. So if you are struggling to find the drug, find out what it is classified as. Is it a cephalosporin? Is it a typicillin? Okay? Figure it out, and once you know what it is, then you can find it in the book, because they are grouped a lot of the time in this book in that way. So I want you to know that if you are struggling with the Davis Drug Guide, that it is actually very clearly and explicitly stated, but it's going to be under those classifications sometimes. So you might not find that drug name in the index. Do not panic. Just Google up that drug name, find out its classification, go from there. Then look up the general classification, like I said, cephalosporin, okay? Then you can find out, you can find where it is, because you can find cephalosporin in the index, and you'll go, oh, here we go. And then you can go from there and find the drug that you're looking for. Also, remember, look for the generic names. Those are the most names. Those are the ones that don't change, okay? Those are the important ones. The other ones are trade names. They're made by the companies. They change with each company. You know, 1 minute it's Tylenol, the next thing it might be unicorns. I don't know. It depends on the company, okay? So just remember, go with that generic name. Hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully it's encouraging for you. I know it surely encouraged me. Also, if you get a new book, the beginning, it's got a scratcher. A lot of people, according to my professor, download this to their phone to help them be able to figure out really quickly. Excuse me, I'm not coming out clearly. Oh, one more thing. Classifications. This is beautiful. This is found at the very beginning of the book. See that? And it goes over everything. Anti-Alzheimer's agents, antiemetics, anti-anxiety, antiarrhythmics, anti-diabetics, anti-ulcer, central nervous. It goes through all the types of classifications. And actually, from what I'm looking at, like I said, I'm still learning as I go. This gives you a general idea. If you want just a general idea of what these drugs do, that would be a good general place to look. And I think it actually, for some of these, it might actually show, not all of them, but I saw one of them where it did show some of the drugs that were related to it. But again, look it up in the main section of the book for the for all the details, because you need all those details in order to protect your patients and to make sure that you are not making a mistake, because you don't want to make a mistake. You don't go into nursing and want to make a mistake like that. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys. I know it was really helpful for me when I got all of that information. So I wanted to share it with you because, gosh, if it's sitting right in front of our faces. But like I said, if you're anything like me, I needed a 2-hour sit down with somebody who was kind enough to be like, okay, let me break this down, Jack, one by one. Here's this, here's this, here's this. 2 hours, guys. And I was so grateful because I needed it. So I'm trying to pass it off to you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will do my best to answer them. I am not an expert. I am a student nurse, again. So if you need an expert, go find a registered nurse. But hopefully that's helpful. All right, so that's Davis Drug Guide, and that's the 16th edition for those who are wondering. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and best of luck.